Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Gabriel, and today we're going to talk about listening to the voice of God. And this is very important on your twin flame journey because really the whole purpose of your twin flame journey is to build your relationship with God. And then God actually comes through your twin flame to be with you. If you're new to this channel, maybe this is new information. If you've been here a while, you've heard me say this before. And what I'd like to talk about is like going deeper into that because it's really important that you develop your relationship with God to a point where you understand what God is guiding you to do. And we all do this kind of innately. We have our intuition. We have what our heart is calling us to do, and sometimes we may second guess ourselves. Right? We might think, well, no, I'm gonna doubt this. I'm gonna go with what I think is safe versus what love is actually calling you to do. And what I'd like to encourage you all to do is start practicing following your heart, start practicing following that little nudge. Because often, like, Jeff and Shalia say that ego speaks first and loudly, and God is kind of a whisper. And when I say like the voice of God, like sometimes you might hear kind of that little voice in your head of that nudge from God of like, hey, do this or things like that. I've experienced that myself. There'll be times when I'm like trying to figure out a difficult problem. And when I kind of just like relax and stop trying to like force a response or like some kind of force, like some kind of answer, oftentimes that's when the inspiration strikes. It's like, oh, hey, did you think about this? And I was like, oh, you're right. And that's always God. That's always God, like, giving you that answer when you are ready to receive it. Not when you're digging for it, not when you're trying to control it, but when you're just like, all right, I surrender, God. I give this to you. And sometimes it comes when you least expect it. God doesn't work on our timeline. We think, oh, it has to happen right now. And God's like, nah, it can wait. And it's not so much that it's waiting, but God is waiting for you to be receptive enough to receive it. And anything that needs to happen, God is going to make happen, whether it comes through you or it comes through someone else. But it's listening to that voice of God and just surrendering to when it happens and how it happens and not how you think it should happen. But besides that, like, voice, because I think we get kind of hung up on a voice, and I did for the longest time. I was like, I don't hear God, like, because I was expecting, maybe I was expecting Morgan Freeman, right? Like, I was expecting Morgan Freeman to be like, okay, that's a very bad I'm not going to do an impression of Morgan Freeman because I can't actually do one. But, you might expect that, the voice of God is like this booming voice that you recognize and you immediately follow. And it's more like a feeling. It's a subtle like, this feels good. This feels right. And you may have blocks to feeling that feeling. And I certainly did. Like, I would feel that feeling, but I would doubt it. I would feel that feeling, but I would have resistance. And so I would believe that the resistance was, oh, that feels bad. And there's a difference between having resistance and to what God is telling you, and something feels bad. And the only way to really know the difference is to kind of sit with that feeling, because something that feels bad feels heavy, feels bad no matter like what you do, right? And then if you feel good, right? Or if you feel, um, something that feels resistance, like something that feels good, like you have that like peaceful feeling in your heart. But the resistance is kind of like, I don't know, like, I don't think I should do this, like, and you come up and like ego will give you all of these reasons why you shouldn't do this thing. Like for me, I've been going through a process of, manifesting my home here in Michigan, because I moved from, if you guys have been watching, I literally moved from California out here. That's why I've been traveling so much and kind of displaced for a little bit. But I'm in the process of manifesting my home, and when I first like found this place that I think might be it, it feels really good. Um, I've had all of this resistance to it. It was like, it feels good. This looks too good to be true. And like, I let that like too good to be true kind of pull me back, right? It's like, ugh, right? And, instead of just kind of accepting that, hey, this is probably God working right now, I resisted a little bit. And then God kind of kept coming through different people and different things and situations to be like, why aren't you taking this? Why aren't you interested in this? And it was just kind of like, are you sure you want to give this up? This is what and I just had to surrender in that moment of like, yeah, this is the good feeling. The resistance is just me like not feeling worthy, not being like, believing in that ego voice that I don't deserve something. And I had to let that go. And so it's really important to, even if God is asking you to do something that seems crazy, like it seems crazy that I uh, drove across the country and just decided to live in Michigan, right? Um, but but at the same time, that was the only path. Like God was like, go, and I had to go, and that you can have that relationship with God too. Whether it looks the same way, your relationship with God is going to be your relationship with God. I'm a Sagittarius, so like there's a lot of like adventure in my life, right? There's a lot of things like that. Maybe you don't work that way and your design is different than mine. But you will have a relationship with God that is peaceful and loving and flowing, and God will give you, the steps that you need to take to achieve your dreams. And maybe yours will be far more compassionate and just like one thing at a time. And for me, sometimes it's like nothing and then everything all at once. And that's kind of how my life has been. It's like nothing for a while. It feels like I'm stagnant, and then all of a sudden, boom. And some people manifest more regularly and more compassionately. Maybe maybe, like I said, like everyone's design is different, and so your design and your relationship with God is going to look different from mine. But the common factor is that God is going to be that guiding, peaceful, loving feeling. Even if you have resistance to it, in your heart, in your intuition, you're like, there's something about this. I can't stop thinking about this thing. This thing keeps coming up over and over and over again, because God will get louder if you don't hear God the first time. God will get louder and louder and louder until you hear him, until you follow him. And if you can keep resisting, he's just going to get louder and louder and louder, and you'll experience more contrast until you have you know, until you finally surrender to God's path for you. And I think we think that we have all these fears that God is going to lead us into something and abandon us. But what I've learned, especially over the past couple of months, is, this, but then it's another thing to experience it, that as you follow God, like God will always support you in where he's leading you. Always. Even if it looks hopeless. My situation 2 months ago looked way different than what my situation looks like now. And I'll share more about that later, but especially as everything's coming together, I'll share more about that whole story. But every step of the way, if God has guided me to do it, he has provided for that and beyond my expectations. And letting go of expectations is good, but and you don't want to hang on to those, but God will meet you there. God will support you fully. And I know that God only gives me what I need, because, knowing me, like I would do something stupid if I had more money than I knew what to do with, right? Or if I had more than I needed, I might not do the thing that God wanted me to do. God gives me just enough to guide me and push me in that right direction. And that's the relationship that we have. And I hope that you can tap into that feeling in your heart, tap into that peaceful voice, and really see where God is leading you, because it's going to lead you to your dreams coming true. It's going to lead you to your twin flame, and you can't fail. As long as you are working through your blocks and you are following the voice of God, you cannot fail. All of this is for you too. Like, everything that anyone else has isn't a testament to what you don't have, but it's a testament to what you can have if you have that desire in your heart. If you look at somebody else and you're like, they have this thing and I want that too. You can have it. Because they have it, you can have it too. It's not like, we're not limited, and there's not scarcity with God. There's abundance, and everyone is entitled to their abundance because that is their birthright as the child of God. And so I hope this video is helpful for you all. I encourage you to do the mirror exercise. If you haven't already, invest in TFAS LPC, spend time developing a meditation practice with God and just really connect there, because if you put all of yourself into God and pursuing that relationship, all your dreams will come true. It's a guarantee. It's, it may not look the way you think it will or the way you think it should, but it'll be even better than you thought. So if you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you all for watching. If you need support on your twin flame journey, or if you need support in connecting with God on this level and developing your intuition and developing your relationship with God, I can help you. My services are at sacredtwinflameunion.com, and I will see you in the next video.